Alright, you battlers. You know what it is, JayDevin back at it with another Go Battle League video. Man, it feels like it's been forever.
It's been 84 years.
What if was it been like a week and a half, something like that? I don't know what it is, honestly. I feel like it's a mix of anxiety, depression, boredom with the Go Battle League metas, and yeah, man, I don't know. I don't want to get too far into it, honestly. I want to get back to making the videos regularly, honestly, just because I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy the game. I do enjoy Go Battle League, and even with the lag and frustrations, it's just, man, I need to get back to it, man. So in this video, basically what I would like to do, what my plans are for this video, is to go over all of my takeaways, you know, and or my lessons and what I learned, etc., from season 1 in Go Battle League. And that's really not to say that this video is going to be something like, you know, if you do these things, you are going to succeed in Go Battle League Season 2. That's really not what this is. This is literally just Season 1 takeaways. This is what I learned. Take it how you're going to take it, right? And it really is the same thing with a lot of my team videos too. I've been getting a lot of flack also about my team videos, which I think is part of why I kind of stopped for a minute, of people saying, well, this team's nonsense, or, you know, I tried this team and it just didn't work for me. The teams that I use are not going to bring the same results for different players, right? It's just, I shared the teams because I had success with the team and I liked it, and and that's it. There's nothing more to it. So, and also, yes, as you can see, for the ending of season 1, I unfortunately did not end up hitting rank 10. If you've seen the community post recently, you already know that. I got really close at one point. I think the highest I peaked was like 29, 26 or 29, 28, something like that. And it was with a pretty spicy team, honestly. I don't remember exactly what the team was still at this point, but my main play was Shadow Magna Zone. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of success with it, but it didn't happen. It didn't end up working out. And I think that's just because I started to see a lot more Stunfisk, and unfortunately Stunfisk is like Magnazone's worst enemy in Go Battle League. So yeah, and that does kind of bring me to the first note that I'd like to start off for, you know, the takeaways are for this video, for the season 1 takeaways in Go Battle League, and that is changing teams often. Now, I feel like for some people that's not an issue, right? If you already have several teams lined up and you know how to use every single team, then you can have a lot more success with it. But particularly with myself, I would notice that I would change the entire team like once or twice a day, just based on whether I win or lost and what other teams I was facing, right? And you know, really, like, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. If you probably do the same thing yourself. Really, what I need to start doing for season 2 is, rather than just changing the team, I need to be changing how I play the team, right? I need to look into the individual matchups that I'm losing a little more, because if you play something differently with the same team, it can potentially turn the entire matchup around, and that could either be based off of a shield advantage, that could also be based off of a switch advantage. It's really just how I play the team, right? Like I said in that one video, it's not the team that's failing, it's how I'm playing the team that's failing. The problem that I noticed is I was counting on getting easy wins just based on the matchup, and that's like, if I keep doing that, that's literally just gambling. Then I'm basically assuming that Go Battle League is all complete RNG, and the truth is that it's not. I can play the team better. The next one, as you can see here, is something that I do kind of like to focus on every now and then, and that is trending teams, right? Whether that's teams that people post on Reddit, or, you know, YouTubers, other PvP YouTubers in their videos, or somebody's having a lot of success with a team on Twitch, and then you see a lot of people start to use it, right? A lot of people will start using that team very often, and based on that, I mean, that's not to say that's a reason that you should change your team just to counter that team. Some people do that, honestly, and sometimes it works for them, but I feel like in my case, when I do that, most of the time it does not work out for me, because I don't use that team normally. That's not the team that I'm used to. I don't know how to play the team, so I end up losing other matchups that I already know how to win and I should have won, but I can't, just because I used a different team, because there's a trending team that people are using, right? So it's a good thing to pay attention to those trending teams, but just be prepared for those teams with your current team. How are you going to be able to overcome those teams and strategies with your current team? You know, I would evaluate it and say, if it's not even possible at all to overcome those teams with your current team, then rather than changing your team entirely, look at possibly just changing the lead, right? Because a lot of teams can work the same way, the picks have the same synergy, and maybe you just need to switch up the lead and it'll work a little better. And that does kind of bleed into the third point, which is playing your team, right? That's like I've already said that like 4 or 5 times in this video so far, but in all seriousness, like playing your team. This is the Haunter Azumarill Registeel is a very, very strong line. A lot of people use it. It's not a very uncommon line. And as you can see, I used it in my first battles for Season 2, but I just stopped using it because I got sick of being countered with Haunter. And there's so many ways that you can play Haunter, right? Like FP Sticks right now is using the Azumarill lead with a Haunter swap. Haunter in the middle, except his is double nuke, so it has Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball, I believe. I was using Haunter like that for a long time, and I want to say the pre-season, except I didn't have the double nuke. And I found like, okay, thinking back to that, I was like, rather than leading with it, because a lot of people are trying to counter Haunter in the lead, what if I just lead with Azumarill and then swap Haunter? And it worked wonderfully. So playing your team, the point behind that is it's this kind of the same function with this team that I have right now. The Shiftry Azumarill Registeel, the Azu Regicore is super powerful. You're going to see it everywhere. I don't think that the meta core is going to really change anytime soon. I wouldn't count on that, but I'm also able to play this team really anyway. With this team, I can lead with Azumarill, the team can function. I could lead with Shiftry, the team can function. I can lead with Registeel, the team can function. So it's all about knowing how you're going to play your team. The most part, the only reason I ever really switch up the lead for the most part is if there's those trending teams where people are leading with a dedicated counter to something, right? Like if a lot of people are starting to lead with Charmers, obviously I'm going to stop leading with Shiftry. If a lot of people are leading with Stunfisk, obviously I'm going to stop leading with Registeel, right? That's kind of the whole point behind that, is playing your team, but not changing the team entirely just based on those trending teams. And for the next point here, all I said was timing. That's not very specific. I should have been a little more specific than just saying timing, but I guess it really doesn't need to get more specific than that. So what I say when I mean timing is really your execution and how quickly you respond to situations, right? Like knowing when you win CMP is part of timing. Knowing when your opponent has enough energy to throw a move, and are you going to either force CMP based on that, or are you going to switch based on that, right? So knowing the timing can be very, very important. It's also knowing counts, right? How many moves it takes another Pokemon to get enough energy to throw XYZ charge move. Also is a huge part of that. Things like that are going to be very important. Specifically because they can help you win switch advantage, and or they can help you win shield advantage, or they can also help you come out of a situation where you've lost shield and or swap advantage. So timing is very important. It is a skill. It's something that takes a lot of time to develop, but it's really important. Being on top of your timing with picks can really help turn things around, especially if you're about to lose and you have a third shield Pokemon, right? Like if you can swap, sacrifice that Pokemon and catch a charge move. That is all based on timing, and that's a timing skill. So it's something that for the most part I don't struggle with. I feel like I'm pretty good with my timing. I don't have any issues with it. It's how I use the timing that I struggle with a little bit. Do I try and sack swap when I need to? That's something that I do all the time, and you might do it as well, is I try to catch charge moves when I don't need to. Like I can just stay in that matchup. No reason to lose the switch advantage. Just use a shield rather than trying to catch the move. It makes no sense to try and switch and catch a move if you don't need to, especially if it's very early on in the game. You can basically throw the game that way. So yeah, timing very important. I feel like I should also put timing. I should have put timing in discipline, because discipline has something to do with it as well too. But that goes to the second and last point, which is shield management. Okay, so shield management is, obviously huge. It goes without saying. And this is something, honestly, that could go a lot deeper than just simply managing your shields too. Really, it's about knowing your matchups and knowing whether your Pokemon can or cannot tank a charge move, right? A good example of that right now is Shiftry, right? So for the longest time, I was using a 100% IV Shiftry in the Great League. When it's taken enough damage, it cannot tank an Ice Beam from an Azumarill. The Ice Beam from the Azumarill will KO my 100% IV Shiftry in Great League. Recently I did catch rank 12, I think, rank 11 or 12, something like that, C-Dot, and I invested into it. Now my Shiftry is very, very good. So that plays into shield management. I know that if I'm, in a shield deficit, or even if I'm locked against an Azumarill, I know for a fact that if I come in to that Azumarill, if I face up against it with my Shiftry with full health, I know for a fact, no matter what, that I can tank at least one Ice Beam if it's an Ice Beam. A Play Rough would be, no, that would finish the job, but I can tank an Ice Beam, and I'm always able to get to another Leaf Blade if I manage my energy correctly. So that's where shield management can come into play. So I probably should have put know your matchups rather than shield management, but that's kind of the same thing, right? They play hand in hand. So knowing those matchups and knowing when I can or cannot take a charge move is huge, because, and it should be the same thing for you, because sometimes I feel like people shield, especially in lower ranks, they're going to shield moves when they don't need to shield moves, because they can for sure tank it, and they ended up, or I ended up needing that shield later on for a different Pokemon, and because I didn't have it, then I end up potentially losing the match because I wasted that shield. So shield management is huge. Know when your Pokemon can or cannot tank a charge move. Which brings me to the last point for this video. It's a very, very simple point. It's just patience. It's something that I struggle with a lot in Go Battle League, because I just want, like I said earlier, I try and just win off the matchups themselves, and honestly that's a bad habit. I need to change that. I really hate being locked in against Pokemon when it's a disadvantageous matchup, right? Like it's the worst. That's the Go Battle League nightmare. But honestly, adopt patience. If you're in a losing matchup, there's really nothing you can do about that matchup, especially if you're locked in. Like, don't get upset if you're locked in a negative matchup, unless it's just game and the game's over, then it is what it is. But if it's early on and you made a mistake and they're locked in, you can still potentially play your way out of it. Just have some patience, relax, and then play it out. Like that happened to me all the time when I started to lead with Altaria again, is I would see the Bastiodon lead, right? Like the Registeel lead is playable. A lot of people don't actually know that. The 2 shield versus 2 shield Registeel Altaria matchup is playable for Altaria. Against the Bastiodon, it's not playable. So, have some patience. You can still come out of the match. And the biggest thing for me about patience is with the matchups, like I've noticed. Now, this might be saying a lot, but I've noticed that when people will use these teams, right, these YouTube teams or these feature teams, the lead Bastiodon, lead Stunfisk, the Caleb Ping team, lead with the Skarmory, right, they're all great teams. They're super strong teams, but I've noticed a lot of times people really don't know how to play those teams, right? There's a big difference between using a strong team and using a strong team very well. I've seen for the most part a lot of people will misplay the Caleb Ping teams, whether that's the Bastiodon team or the Skarmory team, and if I have enough patience, then I'm able to overcome it, just because they misplay and they don't know how to play the team. Having patience and seeing how your opponent plays, right? If you rage quit just based on a bad matchup, that's how that player is going to get their wins. Don't do that. Wait to see how to play their team, right? Sometimes I'll like to push their buttons a little bit to see if they know how to respond to XYZ charge move or XYZ swap, and if I kind of notice they don't make the right call, then I'm usually able to win for the most part. Sometimes not, right? Because sometimes I end up in a position where there's nothing I can do against a Bastiodon. It is what it is. That's Bastiodon. Don't get upset. Don't get upset. There's not much we can do about Bastiodon unless he just straight up gets banned, which I don't think he will. Yeah, that's basically it really for the video. I didn't want to get too in depth with all of these points. Again, I really just wanted to share the things that I learned and things kind of that I noticed about myself and my own gameplay in Go Battle League Season 1 that hopefully can help you as well too. So let me know whether you agree or not about these points in the comments below. If you do agree, do you have any points that you'd like to add? And yeah, Season 2 is beginning at this point. I think I already am. Haven't done my sets today, but I'm ranked 6, so probably gonna be ranked 7 pretty soon. We'll just have to see. And yeah, moving forward as well too, I don't know if I said this in one of my recent uploads or not, but my uploads aren't going to really so much be focused on the specific teams anymore. I want to get a little deeper than that, right? I want to show why and how behind the team, rather than just, use XYZ Pokemon, save XYZ shield, and you're going to win. That's not how it works. It does go a lot deeper than that for the most part, so the teams will still be on there, right? This is going to be the format kind of now. There's going to be a small spot for the teams, and then the why and how right here is right here. You already the why and how right here is going to be the main focus. So I will try and get back to doing this more regularly than I have been. Right, it's been like a week and a half, so I'll try and I want to say if not daily, then it's going to be at least every other day. as far as uploads. But remember, as always, I do stream live on Twitch for Pokemon Go PvP every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we kind of have our own format that we've made for PvP on there. It's not Go Battle League. It's not a Silph Cup either. We made our own thing, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. You should come join. Come hang out. Come say hi. As always, thank you very much for watching and subscribe. If you feel my vibe, power up, punch the notification bell for all that PvP content. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good stinking day.